So we welcome everyone, all those who are present this morning. Mr. Ramachandran Iyer, Dr. Surendra Shetty, Suhas Nandi, Vivekanand Datta, Agnish Rai, Gopinath Shetty, Sujit Shetty, Dr. Vasu Reddy, and everyone else. I just took the names of those I can see clearly. Hare Krishna. So today we have to discuss part 2 of building trustworthiness. So the whole session can be finished in one session also, or it can be taken in slowly with discussion. So the pattern which we have chosen is we are taking 4 sections of the session. And the first section of the session was the importance of trust. The second section was the mathematics of trust. Now, just to display what we discussed in the mathematics of trust, I hope you can see the slide on mathematics of trust clearly. Dr. Surendra Shetty, can you write a yes if the slide is clearly visible on the mathematics of trust? Just write some chat, yes or something. So it is mentioned, trust grows linearly, but can dwindle exponentially. Trust can be borrowed. And we discussed the example of how marketing is done using celebrities. Then we also discussed trust is the choice of risk. Sometimes we land up trusting a non-qualified person, and sometimes somebody who is qualified we do not trust. Like we discussed the example of Jatayu, who was very qualified, but for some moments Ram did not trust. And then we discussed the example of deer, who was not trustworthy, but Mother Sita trusted, and that led to a problem. So trust is choice of risks, no doubt about it. When you extend trust, you receive trust. And trust is contagious. It just spreads like there's a group of friends. One person has trust in one brand of some product. Everybody lands up trusting that. Trust is responsibility also. And we discussed that how the kings who are given responsibilities, there's a lot of responsibility when somebody places a trust on you. So with this kind of discussion, now going ahead, we want to discuss components of trustworthiness. Now, at this stage, when we are discussing components, I would like to quote 2 verses from Bhagavad Gita, which are not visible on the slide, but you can just take a note of them. In the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, text number 14th and text number 18th, 19th. In those texts, Lord Krishna analyzes the components of success of any action. So in 18.14, he says there are 5 factors responsible for the success of any action. Similarly, in text number 18-19, he says that how there are 3 factors which inspire an action and 3 factors which are the constituents of an action. I am not going right now in those 5 factors, 3 factors, 3 factors. But what I am trying to say right now is Lord Krishna teaches us the process of analysis, or something which is called as Sankhya. An analysis or Sankhya is basically used to analyze the events of this world based on our research, and then trying to understand the events, trying to collaborate our research along with scriptural truths. You see, like suppose scripture says, do not tell a lie, always speak truth. That is a scriptural statement. And then you analyze your experience of people who speak truth and who always speak lie. And then you try to match what are the benefits, what are the advantages, what are the disadvantages, what are the situations where you have to be truthful, what are the situations where you need not be truthful, where you can accommodate a relative untruth for a bigger truth. You see? So here what we are doing, we are comparing our experiences with scriptures. Following in the same footsteps, following in the same guidelines, when we are studying trustworthiness also, there are people who have done a lot of research on the concept of trustworthiness based on their study of different behavioral patterns. And then they have studied the guidelines in scriptures on divine qualities. And that's how our analysis is compared with the divine qualities mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. I hope it's becoming simple to all of you. So there is an analysis there and there is a scriptural connection. Before I again go to the slide, I give you another example. You see, in scripture, there is something called as philosophical speculation and mental speculation. Oh, before that, I think one of the videos I showed one of the previous sessions, or I told it verbally, that how one time our honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, he was asked in an assembly by a student, by a small girl, that, sir, in your life, what played a major role? Your experience or your teachers? And he answered it beautifully. He said, both played an important role. But our experience teaches based on what our teachers have taught us. And then he gave a wonderful example. He says, you see somebody stealing money, pickpocketing. And then you, based on that experience, you see, wow, this is a wonderful way of earning money. I will also do that. So somebody may come to such conclusions based on experience. So this means experience can teach you something which is not very moral, which is immoral. But then he said, if my teacher has taught me that please do not steal, and then when you see somebody stealing some money and becoming rich, you will say, experience is teaching me that it is not good because my teacher has taught it is not good. So you see the experience and you realize that this person is living a very anxiety-filled life and always running away from police or something like that. This is a small example. So here your experience teaches you, but provided you have learned something from teacher. Otherwise, therefore, in English, there is a saying, experience is the best teacher. But then after that, most people forget the next part of the statement. Experience is the best teacher, but fools learn from it. That is something to be noted, but fools learn from it. And happily, I would say most of us in most of the situations come in the second category. Because when somebody tells us what is right, what is wrong, we say, no, wait, I want to experience it. So this is the problem which we often have. So with this background, I would like to go in the section today. So based on the analysis of experts. Yeah. Okay, so I hope you can see the clearly components of trustworthiness are displayed in front of you. There is competence is one thing. Can you trust someone for completing a given work? Connectivity is another thing. Can you trust someone for a relationship? And can you trust someone with your life, character? So these three things are the components. Now we will analyze these components with the help of scriptures, different scriptures in the divine qualities mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. So each of these qualities will come in detail now. So I'm just going to the next slide. So we have three things: competence, connectivity, and character. And each of them will have three components. So the very point, very fact that sometimes you might be chosen for a certain job, or you might not be chosen for a certain job, which means for a certain job, the kind of trustworthiness required, either with respect to competence, character, or connectivity, you may have that component, and that's why you're chosen, or you may not have that component, that's why you're not chosen. Simple. It's as simple as that. One can clearly analyze. So to become trustworthy, let us identify what are the factors involved. Now you see, when somebody doesn't trust us, it's very painful. Okay, I would like to hear from you. Now, I would not like to give you the mic, otherwise a lot of time will go if I give you a chance to speak. That I'll tell you in question answer session. But right now, tell me, write down in the chat box, all of you, please write down yes or no. How many of you have experienced a situation where you were not trusted for something, or you were not given an opportunity for something, where you felt you deserved it or you wanted to do it, and you felt very pained by that? If you felt pain, write yes. If you never had any experience like that, write no. Okay, please keep writing. Let's see how many yes comes. Okay, we got a lot of yes, but we have a big number of candidates in the participant list, and not everybody has written. Okay, so we have quite a few. In fact, very few no, and most people are writing yes. Most people are writing yes, and one candidate has also written that no, but there are times I can't trust others, and it becomes lonely. And somebody said yes, I felt that pain. So yeah, so most people have gone through an experience like that. Now, this is a story which will depict to you that how some of the greatest personalities, or even God, has to go through being not trusted by someone. This is Lord Ram, and he met Sugriva, and he was given this test, which test is displayed in front of you. He had to break through these trees. Now, I just want to tell you this story a little in detail, and you will understand what the whole situation was. So what had happened was that Lord Ram and Lakshman were in the forest, and they lost Mother Sita. She was kidnapped by Ravan. And Lord Ram was moving around in the forest, and finally he came to this king of the Vanaras, the monkey clan, that is Sugriva. But Sugriva had a brother, Vali, who had snatched away all the power from Sugriva. And Sugriva was running around out of fear of Vali, because Vali was a very powerful Vanara. In fact, he was more powerful than Ravan also. He was really powerful. So I will not go into that story, how he was powerful than Ravan, but Ravan is the person with whom Ram had to fight, and Vali was somebody even more powerful. So what had happened was, when Ram met Sugriv, they had a agreement that I will help you to get your wife back, and you help me to get my kingdom and my wife back. Done. Now, Sugriva had lack of trust. He said, Vali is so powerful, and this person, Ram, he looks so delicate. He is a delicate prince from Ayodhya, whether he will be able to fight Vali. So he actually starts doubting, and he's saying that I will put some test in front of you. Let us see if you pass that test. And Lakshman and Hanuman got so angry. How dare he said that he is going to test Ram? Now, please understand this phenomena that when we are very, very highly qualified and expert and competent in one of the areas, in some areas, and somebody doubts us and doesn't place trust on our abilities and sidetracks us, then you may wonder, why I am so qualified. But here Lord Ram empathized with Sugriva's feelings, thinking that it's okay, since he has never seen me. He has just heard some stories about me, and then somebody may say this is mythology. He has not seen me. So it's very natural to have lack of trust. In fact, when we come to the process of understanding Bhagavad Gita and understanding Lord Krishna, we may also have no faith because we have never experienced it. It is only step by step we start taking to the process and we understand, oh, really, Krishna is powerful. And then you start experiencing Lord Krishna in your life. So with this understanding, look at this concept which was basically there in Sugriva's life. Now in Sugriva's life, what happened was, when Sugriva told that he is going to test Ram, Lakshman and Hanuman were constantly staring at Sugriva. How dare he said this? And Sugriva could feel that negativity coming from Lakshman and Hanuman. And when they were going all the way to the place where this test was supposed to be performed, constantly Lakshman and Hanuman were staring at Sugriva. How dare he did that? And then Ram was walking very, very peacefully. In fact, Sugriva could see Lakshman and Hanuman are so agitated, but Ram was so calm, so tranquil. There was not even a slightest agitation is Ram's persona because he has been put to test. And this is what impressed Sugriva. This is what made Sugriva develop trust in Ram's character, Ram's connectivity. See, there are three things: competence, connectivity, character. Specifically connectivity, where he saw Ram is not getting agitated, but Ram is so calm and tranquil. There was not even slightest agitation in his persona. And Sugriv said, Ram has passed the first test. Then there was a huge heap of bones. Basically, a demon kind of skeleton was kept. Somebody who was killed by Vali, his skeleton was kept. So actually, Vali had kicked that demon. And the demon had fallen so far, but now all his flesh and all the other, like the fat and everything was all gone, and only the skeleton was there. So Sugriv looked at Ram and he didn't say a word. He just raised his right eyebrow. And holding up two fingers, Sugriv indicated his expectation from Ram. He said, 200 bow lengths was the target you have to kick it for. Lakshman was thinking, my God, my divine brother has to touch this inauspicious remains of the demon of a skeleton. This is so bad. Ram just peacefully walked to the bone mountain and he appeared so small. Ram was looking very teeny in front of the mountain. And with a slight flick of his, just a slight flick of his right foot, Ram kicked the mountain. And the impact was so powerful, the entire skeleton remains of the demon Dundubhi flew up in the air. And what appeared so huge from so close a few moments back was now just a speck in the air. That's all. It was ascending higher and higher and higher into the sky. And all the monkeys who were there with Ram, they were just shocked. They could not believe their eyes. They've never seen something so powerful like that. Such an action, powerful action like that. And then this bony, the huge bundle of bones, this began to descend and crashed and raised such a huge dust storm a long distance away. And he was expected to throw it only 200 bow lengths away. And actually it fell 10 yojanas away, which is 80 miles away. This was incredible. Sugriv was dancing and dancing and dancing. Finally, I have found somebody competent enough. So see, in the first thing, when Ram kept his calmness, Sugriv found the deep connectivity with the person. That yes, I can make friendship with this person. He's not agitated when I lack trust in him. And then when Sugriv saw that he's so competent and powerful, so competency gave him even more trust in Ram. You see? But then sometimes it's not just so easy to have someone trust us or we trust someone else. So then Sugriv was dancing and suddenly it came to his mind that when Vali had thrown this, it was a full demon with a lot of flesh and muscles, it's fat, etc. Now only bones. So what the big deal if Ram has done it? And the moment he said this statement, Lakshman felt so disgusted. How dare you said this? Such a big task he has done, still you can't have trust on him. This will happen in our life also. You did something to prove yourself, you did something very good, still the person is doubting. Because he's coming from a different culture of experience and you are coming from a different culture of experience. Still the person is doubting you, and that is giving so much pain that why I have done such a big task and still you doubt me. It can be frustrating. And Sugriva had such a facial expression that he was still he is not satisfied. Lakshman could not do anything. He thought, let's keep silence, let's keep patience. And Sugriv finally said, I need you to do something more to get complete confidence in your abilities. Again, abilities is there. And without saying a word, Sugriv walked up further and he showed a series of trees. That's the picture I had shown you in the slide. He showed some trees. And soon the group was standing amidst 7 equidistant sal trees, standing in perfect circle. All the trees were in circle. And it almost seemed as if they were planted this way deliberately to create a feeling of being in captivity. Once you're in the middle, you feel like captive in a prison or something. Huge trees they were. And trees were standing there tall and wide, and it was as if they're all watching on you. And Sugriv said, here is a third challenge. This is the Vali's favorite play area. He comes here once in a year to test his prowess. And I have watched him to do something incredible that no warrior, no matter how strong, can ever think of doing. No warrior can ever do something which he does just as his plaything. And he said, this is his topmost fitness test. Lakshman was just smiling. He's saying, what is he trying to prove? Does he know who Ram is? So Lakshman was trying to he was getting angry also, but then he was smiling also at the foolishness of the monkey, he was thinking. He said, when Vali shoot an arrow, he defoliates every single one of these 7 huge trees. He just shot an arrow and all the trees, all the leaves, they just fall on Vali. Vali is in the center and 7 trees around him. And it appears that there is a shower happening and Vali is there's an abhishek happening of Vali. Now, this is amazing, so many leaves with one shot to get all the leaves down. Actually, this is a whole detail how Vali does it. I'm not describing all that, but it's amazing how he does it. So when this was told to Ramachandra, now Sugriv did not know that Ramachandra not only knows about this tree, he knows the past life of this tree also. And what had happened was there was a small rock in between. And there was actually a snake. It was the body of a snake. It's a whole detailed story. But Ram placed his lotus feet at a place where the whole snake straightened. And all the 7 trees came in a straight line. And this completely surprised Sugriva. He never expected such kind of power. So Finally, when he saw Ram demonstrating such kind of power, that time he could actually place his, I'll just get back to the slide. Yeah. That is the time he could actually develop full trust in Ram. And he said, now you tell me whatever you will tell me to do, and I will just follow your instructions and somehow get me back my kingdom. So you see the slide in front of you, these 7 trees came in the straight line, and you see how they were shot with one arrow. So that was the power of showing competence. You see. Now let's go to another one. Again, here is another slide of showing competence. Hanumanji. In fact, when Lord Ram called all the monkeys who will find Sita, actually he had in his heart knew if somebody is really competent, that's Hanumanji. He can jump all the way across ocean from India, from to Lanka, and he can find out where Mother Sita is. And then we have Bhagavad Gita, which was spoken by Lord Krishna to Arjun. And in that also he places a lot of value on the competence of Arjun. Arjun was competent, and several times he glorifies Arjun as Purusha Rishabha. You are lion among men. You are very competent. At one point, he uses the word Parantapa. You are chastiser of the enemies. Parantapa means you are chastiser of enemies. So this means he glorifies in Bhagavad Gita competence of Arjuna. In the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, he says, my devotee is Daksha. He uses the word Daksha, expert. In chapter, he says, for the success of any action, you need the perfect endeavor. So competence is discussed. Competence is very important. So therefore, competence is required. Now, in competence, you see there are 3 components. What are the 3 components of competence? One thing could be just capable of doing it. We can have talented, skilled, experienced, knowledgeable, just capable of doing it based on these qualities. You have knowledge, you have experience, you are skilled, you are talented. Right? So till now, what we discussed, all these examples, Hanumanji, Lord Krishna, Arjun, this is all talking about capability. But then another thing which is required is diligence. That is the next one. You see, just one second. Yeah, diligence is required. Now, what is diligence? If somebody might be capable, but diligence involves hard working or industrious, basically hard working. Result oriented. Now, this is something which we need to discuss, because Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, do not be attached to the results. But we will discuss this. But the point is, somebody who is focused, that is the point. Then attention to details and having strong work ethics, which means free from lethargy. Now, in these regards, Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita in 3rd chapter in 30th verse, Nirmamo nirahankaro yudhyasva vigata jwara. He says, please work free from all lethargy, which means, Arjun, you are capable, but if you become lethargic and get influenced by mode of ignorance and do not follow any work ethics, and you are not hardworking, people will laugh at you. Now here, this is a small story comes. You see this story here. You see, there's a small sparrow, and below there, and above this, a huge big Garuda bird. So when sparrow laid down the eggs, but then the waves of ocean came and took away all the eggs of the sparrow. Sparrow became very angry. Sparrow is shouting. She's trying to shout at the ocean, please return my eggs. When sparrow is telling, return my eggs, sparrow is really working hard. I will empty the whole ocean drop by drop. And actually, sparrow starts picking up drop, 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 emptying it somewhere. Now, the whole idea is so foolish. How can actually a sparrow empty the whole ocean? But this is an example of such a hard work for your goal. And as the saying goes, God helps those who helps themselves. Seeing the hard work, the story says, Garudji came, and Garudji is a huge bird of Lord Vishnu, and he challenged the ocean that I will empty you if you do not give the eggs back. Now, this story is explained in Bhagavad Gita that how determination is very important. Diligence is important. Now, one of the concept which is mentioned is result oriented. Now, the point is, if you are not focused on the result, it becomes difficult to work hard. So that's where we have to balance the philosophy with practicality. Practicality is you can only work hard when you are focused on the result. Arjun has to win the battle. So he works hard. So therefore it is said, work in such a way that everything depends upon you. But when you sit for prayer, pray in such a way that everything depends on God. So that's how Gita balances that be focused on the result, at the same time be detached from the result. Somebody has written a question here. Lord Krishna taught about love without attachment in Gita to Arjun, but Arjun was unable to withstand the death of Abhimanyu. Does that mean Arjun did not understand the teachings of Lord Krishna and did not create utmost trust and faith towards him? This is a brilliant question, Srinivasanji. Thank you for asking that question. Does this mean the Lord Arjun did not have trust and faith in Lord Krishna? See, that's where I'm saying we have to balance philosophy with our human existence. As a human existence, we cannot be emotionless. The very identity of ourselves as spirit souls, we are spirit souls have emotion. So whenever we are going to work this world in this world, we will develop emotions. But when we say losing trust or faith in Krishna, that question would come when Arjun would leave Krishna and go away. He said, forget it, I'm not going to fight for you. I'm leaving this place. I'm going back home. Come Draupadi, let's go. Let's stay somewhere else. This Krishna has cheated us. Arjun did not say that. Come Draupadi, come Bhim, let's go somewhere else. He continued to have trust, although he did feel emotional setback at that time. But we never see him yelling at Krishna and losing trust in Krishna and giving up friendship with Lord Krishna. Till last moment, he was always with Krishna. Krishna wanted him to fight on the battlefield. He continued to do that. That was his job. That was his duty. So I hope that makes sense to you. Okay, then somebody is asking, can work ethics also mean moral values? Yes, extension of that. In the current context, work ethics, we are referring to hardworking, result-oriented focus. Another component of work ethics, which you are referring as moral values, will be discussed in the character part, which will come later. Now we are discussing the competency part. And in the competency part, the third factor which comes is consistent. This is also very important to become trustworthy, or when we are not able to find trust in someone, what is it is lacking? Consistency. Consistency means steady, reliable, resilient. Again, this example, I think last time I had shown this slide. This is Lakshman, and that's Tara, who is the wife of Sugriva. And what had happened was, Sugriva, after he got his kingdom, his wife back, he got all his opulence back, he forgot to help Ram. So one who was testing Ram for his competence, for his diligence, but he himself was lacking in the consistency part. He forgot to stand up to his commitments. So sometimes we are too much influenced by our mood swings or by the changing circumstances, and we are not able to stand up to our commitments. Consistency nahi dikhate hain, steadiness nahi dikhate hain. In this regard, in Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita, one of the divine qualities which he mentions in 13th chapter, text number 8th, 9th, one of those chapters, he uses the word sthairyam. And sthairya means steadfastness. So this is another divine quality which needs to be cultivated. He said, if somebody doesn't have, I do not consider that person in knowledge, even if that person has very competent and very knowledgeable and can make big presentations or big, whatever, big memory power, but there is no consistency in action. So that makes somebody lose trust. So this way we cover 3 C's of the competency factor. If anybody wants to say anything in the chat, do say. Otherwise, I'll go to the next C. That is, so this is not 3 C's, but 3 factors of competence: capable, diligent, and consistent. If anybody wants to say any comment, speak out, please do share. You can raise your hands, we can unmute you if you want to share any experience regarding this. This is a story, in the meantime, till you write something. This is the story. This is a small picture in front of you, like you hire a driver. You tell somebody, come and pick me up at the airport. So the driver has to be competent. Driver has to be diligent that the fuel tank is full. Driver should be consistent, not that in the way he's, doing 10 other things and bangs into another car. So he comes late, he doesn't put the fuel tank in time, he makes you so much weight, he bangs the car, so he loses the trust. Okay, so no hands raised and no comments. Now we go to the next one. Yeah. Here we have Balaji, okay. The question was, now it's clear. You put the word right. When we follow work ethics at work, when sometimes it comes at a cost of politics. Okay, we'll discuss that question in some time. Then another question is coming, what is the value of loyalty? This will all come in character, actually, the points which you are raising right now. Okay, now I'll discuss the second one, that is connectivity. You see very clearly which road is easier to drive. Naturally, this first picture is easier to drive on. Yeah. You're on a very good, I forgot, last 2 weeks back, I was with someone, we were driving on some highway. I forgot where it was. So many places we went, but that road was really good. It was just fun driving on that, and especially when at time there's no traffic, you just go at your own speed, and it's just driving itself becomes a fun. I'm not sure where I was going, but it was really fun there. And then at a small village, this kind of road came. You see in the middle picture. It becomes so hellish driving like this. And when you are on the mountains, so 25 kilometers, which you can cover in 20 minutes on a simple road, on a fast-paced road, in mountains, it takes so much time. Now, this is a classic example of connectivity. So connectivity, the first component of connectivity is approachable, as it is mentioned by this road example. I am telling you, if you introspect why I had not been trusted in a certain circumstance, if you introspect about yourself, you will actually be able to find at least one component out of these 9 components, 3 plus 3 plus 3. Now here is one, approachable. How approachable you are in terms of accessibility, in terms of being friendly and cheerful, and especially in terms of being unassuming. That is referred to as approachability. No, it is written here. Welcome, please come in. Yesterday, I was doing a program and I was showing a video, and it was a 3 minutes clipping. And in the beginning of in the entrance to a restaurant, a lady is standing. Sir, how can I help you? Can you help us with the table? Oh, yes, please just wait a few minutes. You sit here. I'll just be back with you in 5 minutes. So you are relaxed, so accessible, so approachable and friendly and cheerful. Otherwise, you're waiting and you're wondering, is there anyone who's looking at me, and which table will be empty at what time? And you're just confused all the time. So connectivity is higher in this case. Chanakya says regarding the accessibility for leaders. Beautiful quote, it's mentioned here. When you are in the court, about the leader, he shall never cause his petitioners to wait at the door. For when a king makes himself inaccessible to his people and entrusts his work to his immediate officers, he may be sure to engender confusion in business and to cause thereby public disaffection, and himself a prey to his enemies. In simple words, what is being mentioned, how a leader should be accessible. See, there is a balance required. A leader has to be empowering and empower another generation or next level leaders also who are available. At the same time, if required, being himself also available and accessible. That develops so much trust in the leadership as a whole, as a team, that they are accessible and they very empathically listen to our concerns. Some of the tips, these are some of you must be very expert, but still I am reading out some of the basic things. Okay, now, just before I read out those things, Bhagavad Gita, text number 6.32. See, today I am mentioning all the verses of Gita which are mentioning these divine qualities. Because last time, one of the gentlemen had raised a very important question, that where are we speaking about trust in Bhagavad Gita? Now, please understand, Bhagavad Gita doesn't take trustworthiness as a separate topic. Krishna doesn't put one chapter, okay, building trustworthiness. But he talks about these values in different chapters, which overall develop a personality. Because the whole goal of Bhagavad Gita was to make Arjuna fight the battle on the battlefield. Yeah. So now coming to this connectivity, accessibility, connecting to people, there is a verse 6.32 where it is mentioned an advanced yogi, somebody who is advanced in spiritual life, he can connect to the pains of others and he feels for others. That is the point which is mentioned. Empathy is highlighted in 6.32. Now, what we are displaying is nothing but small tips by the analysis on empathy. What are the small tips? Sit down while you are interacting with people. Try to listen to them attentively and reflectively. Not that you have already come to conclusions before listening only. Avoid making any time urgent movements, such as looking at your watch, mobile, that indicate that you are overly concerned about how much time has passed. Do not say, I have only 10 minutes. Rather say, I want to spend the next 10 minutes with you. Don't make people feel guilty about taking your time or receiving some favor from you. Very simple, common sense tips. But the whole idea is Lord Krishna is teaching us the value of empathy. We will send you all this in written also in notes format. Some of the extra tips also. If you are unable to answer calls because of being busy with an engagement, try to send a text that you will call back. Oh, I have seen people, they are so poor in their mobile etiquettes. When to respond, how to respond. It's just really poor sometimes. Be the first to greet people when you meet them, not that you have an air around you. While it may be important to keep some things confidential, but if people gets an overall impression that you are very secretive and queries are not entertained, they may withdraw from you. A smiling, welcoming face is the highway to great relationships. So everybody, whoever is in the video, please give a big smile on this. Hare Krishna. Okay. So now we go to the next one. Yeah. You see, this is a big door. This is a narrow door. It is difficult to enter through a narrow door, as you are seeing in the picture here. Yeah, somebody has raised hand. We will take your comment soon. Amita Raghavji, you have raised hand. If it's by mistake, please put it down. Otherwise, we will take your question soon. So connectivity is broad-minded. Broad-minded is perceived as, okay, somebody has smiled on the chat also. Thank you for that. So accommodative, encouraging, non-judgmental, unbiased, unprejudiced. These four things. You can actually, rate yourself. Out of 10, give yourself marks. Where do you stand in terms of each of these qualities? We do this exercise when we are doing a offline session. So very broad-minded, right? You see, Dhritarashtra was a leader. He was blind. And all people around him, it could be Vidurji, Bhishma, they used to give advice to him. But he was so narrow-minded. You see here in this picture, on one side, Dhritarashtra is sitting and this person is giving advice. It was his younger brother, Vidur. But he was so narrow-minded, he would not listen to the advice. He was told at the birth of the first son only that Duryodhan will cause lot of pain to you. He didn't bother only. He was close to it. Therefore, citizens had no trust on Dhritarashtra. See, it is okay not to be knowing few things. It is okay if you are less mature, but at least be open to instructions to elevate yourself to higher level. But Dhritarashtra was not ready for that. Find out whether you are ready to hear the feedbacks and the suggestions and the opinions from others and work on yourself, or when others come to you. There's another story of Ravan which is not displayed here on the screen. It's a very interesting story. Ravan's stepbrother was Kubera, and Kubera sent a messenger to Ravan Go and give him the feedback that what he's doing is not right. He's too cruel. He'll suffer for it. Now, when they went to Ravan, actually, and Kubera chose a spy, not spy, a messenger who is very, very sensitive, who speaks very carefully so that the other person doesn't feel hurt. Sometimes some of your well-wishers, if they are giving us feedback, they might have thought 10 times before speaking, thinking we will be hurt. So the very fact somebody is speaking to us, which means they must have thought 10 times before speaking, if that person is sensitive. This means how much wrong is there in my personality. इतना सोचने के बाद भी वो रोक नहीं पाए अपने आप को. They had to tell us. So when Ravan was sent this messenger just began to speak two statements. Ravan got so angry, he took his sword and he cut off his head only. And the blood went all over the faces because the whole thing happened so fast. All the people around their face was covered with blood. So everybody knew. Even Lord Shiva wanted to give some comment to Ravan. He said, better not touch him. This guy is very untrustworthy because connectivity is so poor. He's not broad-minded. He's not open to opinions. So demigods had no trust on Ravan. And then we have another example. This is a king, Uttanapad. He had two wives, Suniti and Suruchi. But he was not accommodating. He was just attached to one of his wives and one of his sons, but he was not accommodating, as it is mentioned, accommodating, encouraging, unbiased, unprejudiced. He was too much biased towards one wife. So citizens had lack of trust on him. Like this. And then we have example, the next picture which is there is example of Dashrath Maharaj and Kaikai. We will not discuss that right now. So, and the last part of connectivity. See, first part was accessible, second was broad-minded, and third part is gravity, which means how seriously you take others. Mature, sober, sensitive, and able to maintain confidentiality. Not that somebody comes and confides in you, tells one of their life's problems to you, and next day that problem is known by the whole community. So trust is gone. There has to be gravity there. Sometimes you may be very accessible as a part of connectivity. You may be very broad-minded as a part of connectivity, but you may lose gravity. So people lose trust. अरे ये आदमी तो हर चीज को lightly लेता है. There is no sense to, there is no depth in the personality. Like that, right? So depth, the ocean, the lake, there is depth. Depth is required, not shallow. So these are the three portions of connectivity: approachable, broad-minded, and grave. Now we will go to the last part of our discussion. So we covered competence, we covered connectivity, and now we go to character. Okay, before that, let me take a couple of questions which are there on the screen, on the chat box. There is a question here. As far as the politics and loyalty, we will take it in character. So I'm not touching that. Now I am taking question which is there. How to turn enemy non-hostile, how to gain their trust, especially when they are not interacting. How to draw them out. This is bothering me for a while. Oh, sorry. Okay. How to draw them out. This is bothering me for a while. This affects others more than me personally. It is imperative that I engage them. For me to answer this, maybe I need to know the exact situation, what we are speaking about. But question is very relevant to the society. I can understand some degree. How to turn enemy non-hostile, how to gain their trust. Now it depends what level of enemy are you talking about. You see in Mahabharata, Pandavas and Kauravas. Kauravas were the enemy. They were practically terrorists actually. And Pandavas were the virtuous people. But because Arjun says these enemies not ordinary enemies. Ordinary enemies in such situations should be killed as the kind of sins which were done by Kauravas. I'm talking about that level of sins. Insulting someone's wife, trying to give poison, trying to put house to fire, things like that. But then he says, these enemies are not ordinary enemies. They are our own relatives. And plus, some of them are very, very respectable people in society. So they should be forgiven. So you win their trust by forgiving them again and again. But then Lord Krishna took Arjuna to even a higher level. He said, Arjun, yes, one should be forgiven again and again, but at times, forgiveness becomes a problem for the whole society. The whole society is going to suffer. So at this time, do not think that they are special people. Only thing which you should do is punish them. Kill them. So we heard, but what I am trying to say is there are different levels of situations. One level of situation is a very common man situation where you say tit for tat. Usne aisa kiya, main bhi aisa karu. A higher situation is try to win the trust by becoming yourself trustworthy. And understanding the nature of the person, giving them the space to mature, giving them the space to grow. But when that threatens the whole society at large, then the only thing you have to do is maybe you have to take to violent means to subdue them, and punishment is the only way. So this is how what I am basically quoting from Bhagavad Gita is different levels of situations are there. In Bhagavad Gita, it is mentioned as Arth Shastra, Dharma Shastra, and Jnana Shastra. Dharma Shastra promotes forgiveness, accommodating others, tolerating others, giving space to others. Jnana Shastra, in Arjuna's case, is promoting violence. Come on, kill everyone. Have a battle. So like this. So again, since I am not sure exactly what situation you are pointing out, I just gave the answer in principle. There's another question here. God won the trust of Surya's son Sugriva in Ramayana and killed Indra's son Vali. At the same time, he won the trust of Indra's son Arjun and killed Surya's son Karna. This proves that karmic trust towards God. Perfect. Yeah. He manages karma very nicely. One statement I read, he said, karma is like a boomerang. Those who know boomerang, you throw and how it comes back to you. So he said, when karma boomerangs to you, do not ask the question who threw it, because boomerang is not thrown by someone. You throw it and it comes back to you. So that's the point here. Okay, so thanks Srinivasanji and Ishani Chedda for your questions. Next is Ramachandran Ayerji. What role does compassion have in all this? Yes, that's the third thing we are coming to, corrector. Compassion also has a role in connectivity. So therefore, we have to understand Bhagavad Gita where to. Now, compassion, you see, this is interesting. People always feel compassion is only forgiveness and being kind and being smiling. But at times, compassion can also mean punishing. So it takes maturity what form compassion takes. Just like a child has typhoid and he's not supposed to give him solid food. So if he's eating the prohibited food, the mother gives a slap. So then you say, oh my God, mother is not compassionate. Mother should just be taking the child on the lap and giving all the love and affection. Child is sick and mother is slapping. But at times, child becomes uncontrollable. That slap is compassion. Similarly, the great sages, sometimes they curse. We hear stories of Narad Muni going to two arrogant boys, Nalakuvar and Manigriv, and cursing them, become trees. So they take the body of a tree. As we know, there are 84 lakh species of life. So they take the body of a tree. But then Narada Muni plans that let them take the body of a tree in the palace of Lord Krishna, so that one day they will come in touch with Krishna and they get liberation. So they get punishment also. Punishment purifies them, and then they get connection with Krishna also. That is compassion. So compassion means doing the needful, whatever it takes to elevate the person to a higher level of consciousness, and whatever it takes to protect the society. Two things: protect yourself. Three things: protect yourself, protect the society, and elevate the person to a higher level of consciousness. If it is to be done by love and affection, do it like that. If it is to be done a punishment, do it like that. Both are compassion. I hope that makes sense to you, Ramchandranji. Vivekananda, why sometimes connectivity is selective in a group? This is also interesting. Now, the nature of this world is not everyone connects to everyone. It's fine to be like that. An example from Mahabharata. You see, Krishna and Balram, two brothers, and Duryodhan and Arjun also brothers, cousin brothers, but in the family brothers. Balram ji somehow had special affection to Duryodhan, and Krishna had special affection to Arjun. Now, Balram ji is also a form of God only. Then you will say, why is giving affection to Duryodhan? Out of many reasons, one reason is giving. Lord is also teaching in the human societies, somehow relationships develop in a unique way. Somebody may develop affection to someone, someone may develop affection to someone. You can't control that. So connectivity. So if in a group, somebody connects to someone better and not to someone better, that's fine. Example from Ramayana. Lakshman connects to Ram in a way that Lakshman always wants to be with Ram. Bharat connects to Ram in a way that, okay, I want to do some service for you. I may not be close to you. That's fine. And Shatrughna, who is the fourth brother, he connects emotionally to Bharat. So Ram is not feeling insecure. I am God. You should connect to me. Why you are connecting to Bharat? But somehow Shatrughna connects to Bharat. That's fine. Ram doesn't say, oh, no, you should connect to me. I am God. I am the senior most. And Ram is not telling Bharat, you should be like Lakshman. You should also be wanting to be with me all the time. No, he connects differently. And he is not telling Lakshman, you're always sticking around me like a mosquito always hovering around me. No, he doesn't say that. He says, Lakshman, take some responsibility. No, he knows Lakshman has a different emotional system, different from Bharat. Lakshman connects to me in a different way. So that's also one reason. Okay. Somebody is asking for the email. We will send you later on. Last question before I take the third part of our. There are times when we react to somebody in anger and they lose trust in us. But then we realize there is our mistake and we want to apologize. The person who loses trust does not want to communicate with us even after we have tried in many ways to ask for forgiveness, because we want to develop and maintain good relation with them. So what should we do to ask forgiveness then? Good question. Now, this is also interesting. Sometimes in this world, actually, there are several factors to this. If you have asked forgiveness and the other person is not interested, just close the deal. You can't be just hunting behind a person. Oh, forgive me, forgive me, forgive me, forgive me. So you did your part. Now it's between the other person and Lord Krishna. Maybe the person has forgiven, but you are having your own strange picture of what forgiveness means. That can be another problem. And sometimes we are so much emotionally disturbed that we have our own perceived image of how the other person should behave with us, how the other person should fulfill our needs. And we are forcing one person to fulfill our needs. And that person is telling, look, I have some limitations. I can't fulfill your needs. So that these are different parameters. Let's go to the last part of our discussion. That is connectivity, approachable, broad-minded, grave. Right? Now we discuss character. Character has three portions: being benevolent. Character has three portions. First is being benevolent. That is a genuine well-wisher, having no selfish agenda. You see, You see, Srila Prabhupada, who is the founder Acharya for International Society for Krishna Consciousness, he signed, whenever he used to sign, you see his signature in front of you. He used to say, "Your ever well-wisher." When people all over the world saw his signature, they knew that he actually means what he writes. Because in America, when he went to preach first time, 1965, this is a very classic example. These people in America had actually decided that they will not trust anyone above 30 years of age, something like that. So this means they did not want to trust anyone above 30. But when they saw Srila Prabhupada, who was 70 plus that time, they felt this is the person who must be trusted. Surprising, no? There was a young generation who was into all bad habits. They had no interest in an elderly gentleman. And here is somebody in the figure of a grandfather, and they wanted to trust him. Because they saw genuine well-wishing actions and intentions in this personality. That's why. And Lord Krishna, you see, when he was with Pandavas, Lord Krishna says, Suhrita Sarva Bhutanam. In text 5, 29th verse of Bhagavad Gita, he brings out this concept of trustworthiness. Arjun have trust in me because I am Suhrita. I am well-wisher. And he actually proved well-wisher. Whenever Pandavas needed him, he was there. Without any expectation in return, he was just there. He spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjun. He told Arjun, I have told the whole book to you. I've explained it to you. But at the end, still, if you do not want to follow this, it's fine. I am still your friend. See, this is what happens. When we do something for someone, we expect reciprocation. Krishna had no expectation of reciprocation. That is benevolence. See, this is interesting. This question on forgiveness. You tell someone, forgive me. Genuinely you ask. And then after that, the person is not able to reciprocate the way you are expecting. Still, you remain calm and composed. You do not become agitated like that. That is not a real benevolent mindset. That is too possessive mindset. Like this. Okay, then we have next point is virtuous. Character mein, there is another thing which is virtuous. Means you have some principles of life. You are purpose driven. This is also interesting. We will discuss this. So there are some principles in life. This is the example I think we have already discussed. See, again and again, you know, Kaika is very famous in our slides. She comes again and again. So here is again, she told Maharaj Dashrath that she actually gave up all principles. She gave up all virtue. She said, somehow my son should become the king. I do not care what the kingdom wants. So here is something political. When you use the word political, she became very political. She started changing the principles, using scriptures to fulfill her own selfish needs. She told Dashrath, Dashrath, you are supposed to be truthful. You had promised me boons. Scriptures say one should be truthful, so be truthful. But scriptures also say that a king like Ram should be honored. That she is not bothered. She is using one side of scriptures. See, this is called as half hen philosophy. एक मुर्गी है, सोने का अंडा देती है. आप उसका आगे का भाग काट देते हैं क्योंकि मुर्गी को खिलाना पड़ेगा. भोजन खिलाएंगे. You feed the hen. You do not want to feed the hen. That takes money. Okay. I want only the golden egg, so I only want the back portion of the hen and reject the front portion of the hen. It doesn't happen like that. Is it not? So you have to respect the full hen. Similarly, scriptures, you use one portion and reject another portion. But virtuous means you value the principles. You are not selfishly driven. No, Kamlesh ji is asking that I mentioned about the signature of Prabhupada ji, but left halfway. No, I did not leave halfway. What I was saying is, Srila Prabhupada's signature, if you see here on the screen, I was focusing on this statement, your ever well-wisher. How Srila Prabhupada acted as ever well-wisher. Therefore, even the young people who were not supposed to be putting the trust on the elderly at that time, they placed trust based on the real actions of Srila Prabhupada. That he had come just to give, not to take back anything. He was not there in America making big funds for his own bank account. No, he was just wanting to give. So that's what I was trying to say. And the last part of the character is congruence. What is congruence? Means authentic in simple words, which means what you say, you stand for it. ऐसा नहीं बोलते कुछ है करते कुछ है. Your words and actions should match. And here is a best example which comes in Srimad Bhagavatam. What is the best example? You see in this slide, this is Kamsa, who is holding the sword. That lady is Devaki and this is Vasudev. When Kamsa came to know that the 8th son of Devaki, Lord Krishna, will kill Kamsa, Vasudev tried to stop. Vasudev said, why you are killing your sister Devaki? I will personally come and give each son to you. मैं खुद आके दूंगा आपको. The best part was Kamsa immediately kept faith and he sent them home. It's fine. Because Kamsa said, Vasudev is a person जो बोलता है वो करता है. He is a person, whatever he says, he does it. There is a congruence in his character. It was amazing. A demon like Kamsa, who would not keep faith on anyone, he said, you go. I know that when your first child will be born, you will personally come and bring it and give it to me. And I will kill that child. One by one, I'll kill all 8 children. Because I'm not sure which child will be the cause of my death. I will kill them. And Kamsa showed a very soft side of his personality by saying, okay, you go. But Vasudev knew that now Kamsa is telling you go, tomorrow his mood changes. He will come and say, no, I will catch you in the prison. So Kamsa is a person, every day his words change. But Vasudev is a person whose words do not change. Ek baar bol diya, wo karenge. And Vasudev actually came and gave the child to Kamsa. You were afraid of child? Leave my wife, take this child. Kamsa was shocked. Such a truthful person. Therefore, Bhagavatam says, what is painful to give up for a truthful person? He can give up anything to stand for truth. And similar example is there of Maharaj Yudhishthir. You see in this slide, in the Kurukshetra, when Dronacharya was to be told that his son Ashwathama is killed. Actually, Ashwathama was not killed, but a lie had to be told to Dronacharya. That time Dronacharya said, only if Yudhishthir says this, I will believe. Actually, who was killed? An elephant was killed. Elephant's name was Ashwathama. Bhima had killed the elephant. But Dronacharya was wanting to hear this word from Yudhishthir. Such high level character was there. He trusted Yudhishthir. Well, trust karunga to Yudhishthir pe. Anybody else says, I will not trust. So this means character, truthfulness. Or somebody raised the point of loyalty, loyalty to the principles. This is very important. We might be loyal to a demon, loyal to a person, but here you're talking about loyalty to principles. That is very important. Loyalty to dharma. That makes somebody trustworthy. Otherwise, if you're talking about loyalty to a person, that comes under connectivity. Like Ravan had complete trust on his brother Kumbhakarna because the connectivity was strong. But Ravan had no trust on Vibhishan. Connectivity was poor there. So like this. So like this, there are many stories, but I would say character means virtuous, benevolent, congruent. Just look at this slide. This is an interesting slide here. You see on one side is congruent, जिसके actions or words match होते हैं. Incongruent, doesn't match. Sometimes you are congruent consciously. You see on top there is a word conscience, conscious, and there is an unconscious below that. So let us discuss this. Congruent and conscious. Consciously you are trying to be congruent. Such a person is called honest. ईमानदार है, समझ के, सोच समझ के, honestly, consciously they are trying to be standing up to their words. Something unconsciously congruent. You do not put effort for it, but somehow you are unconsciously congruent. That is integrity, which is much deeper than honesty. But then unconsciously incongruent, बार बार गलती कर रहे हैं, but you are not aware of it. Everybody can see that you are making that mistake, but you are not aware. Unconsciously incongruent, self deception, मतलब खुद को ही नहीं पहचाना है आपने. And then we have consciously incongruent, जानबूझ के गलती कर रहे हैं, मालूम है, you know this, that I am speaking something else, doing something else. That is duplicity. So we have to best is this integrity platform, unconsciously congruent. So this is how one deals with this trust: character, competence, connectivity. We will be sending you notes for this if it is just too much to remember. So here you see all the 9 on one slide. I hope it is clear to you. 3, 3, 3. You can give yourself scores, rate your trustworthiness on a scale of 1 to 5. And see where do you stand. We will send you these exercises also. Now, this is one section which I will not take now. Next week, I will be taking another topic. But in the beginning, half an hour, I would like to spend on this topic. How to respond to distrust or restore trust when somebody has lost trust in us. So we'll be discussing for half an hour next week. And then after that, we will be going to another topic. So any questions or comments? If anybody would like to raise hand, you can. Otherwise, I am reading the questions which are here. Ashwathama Hatha Kunjara. You have made a comment. Thank you, Sashi Bharatwaj. That's a comment from Ashwathama. Okay, Balaji has a question. The objective of Lord Krishna in the battlefield assumably should be to convince Arjun to fight. But Bhagavad Gita has chapters dealing with all facets of life and beyond spiritually as well. How come it's like that? And also how come so much time there was in the battlefield? Needless to say, Bhagavad Gita was a gem. Yes, so a teacher's main interest is wherever you find an appropriate candidate, use that opportunity to give knowledge. Krishna found an appropriate candidate when Arjun was there. He could have just told Arjuna, just shut up and do what I am doing, you stupid fool, you rascal. He could have said like that, like a teacher can chastise. But he was very empathic to Arjun. He could understand his state of mind. And Arjun at several times in Gita told Krishna to tell me peacefully, Aram se batao. I want to understand life as a whole. There is no rush. Only once I'm fully convinced from all different perspectives, then I will fight. So therefore, although second chapter of Gita was the only thing which Lord Krishna wanted to speak, but Arjuna raised question one after another. And that's what led to more knowledge. Like you see, all of you raise this question and a lot of discussion comes up. And some points come up in questions also. Some question answers, some new points come up, which I had not planned to speak. So similarly, when Supreme God is there and then you ask questions, a lot of other facets come out. So as you mentioned very clearly, Bhagavad Gita has chapters dealing with all facets of life beyond spirituality as well. Because Arjun was asking questions, a lot of new things were coming out. Then I would say most of our sessions are on life lessons, but Bhagavad Gita has a lot of spiritual perspectives also. And that will come out depending on what's your curiosity level, how much you want to learn. You want to learn only life lessons of this world, or you want to learn life lessons of other world also. So like this. But thank you, Balaji, for raising that good point. Okay, another question. Ravana's connectivity is also fluctuating because when Kumbhkarna gave an advice to leave Mother Sita, otherwise consequences would be severe, Ravan did not listen to him. Yes, that's what I said. Ravan kisi ko sunte nahi the. He wanted others to listen. So Ravan had trust on Kumbhkarna, but Kumbhkarna didn't have trust on Ravan. तो एक रिश्ता है, कुंभकर्ण का कनेक्टिविटी हाई है, वहां पे ट्रस्ट है पूरा, पर रावण के ऊपर ट्रस्ट नहीं है. ओके, देन will it be possible to get okay, link of the recordings? Yeah, we'll be doing that, but after the whole series is over, we'll be uploading these lectures. Hare Krishna, I believe by following dharma. Okay, so one question before that. Utkarsh, what is your view about Karna? What is my view about Karna? Karna was elder brother of Yudhishthir. Now, I'm not sure which view you want to know, but in general, yes, Karna, see, this is also very, in one line, I would say, Karna had some good qualities. Lot of good qualities. He was charitable, as it is mentioned. But the point is, when all the good qualities are used in loyalty to a wrong person, everything becomes zero. But all the good qualities in loyalty to the right person, some value. Vibhishan was not loyal to Ravana. Vibhishan was loyal to Ram. और लोगों ने उसके ऊपर बड़ा एक वो बना दिया, घर का भेदी लंका ढाहे ढाहे, something like that. So Vibhishan went and told secrets to Ram against Ravan. So apparently Vibhishan was not loyal to his brother and his kingdom, but for the bigger cause of the society. Karna was very loyal to Duryodhana for a wrong cause. So all the divine qualities become null and void. And Vibhishan is apparently disloyal to Ravan is glorified by all the great saints as the art of surrender to Lord Krishna. So this is a small view about Karna. I hope it makes sense to you, Utkarsh. Okay, another last question I think is there on the screen. I believe by following dharma, Krishna in the driving seat, one can get to know who to trust, and also we get a power of making right choices. Yes, very much, absolutely right. When you connect to Lord Krishna as Paramatma, by chanting his holy names, by offering prayers, by worshipping his deity, by regularly studying Bhagavad Gita, you are guided by Paramatma. A simple thing, if you have a friend, you spend time with your friend. अच्छे से spend time करते हैं. So at time of problems, your friend comes and helps you by giving you guidance. Similarly, you spend time with Lord Krishna by regularly studying Bhagavad Gita, chanting his holy names, going to temple, offering prayers, understanding the whole science. Lord Krishna is there to help us in our heart as Paramatma. So very wonderful comment by you, Ranganath. Okay, so thanks to all of you who are sending thanks to me and to everyone for the sessions. Thanks to each one of you present here. So we will end the session today. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Hare Krishna.